Hey guys, Yankee here, and today I'm going to be giving my thoughts on Invaders of the Rokujouma, episodes 1, 2, and 3. If you've been subscribed to the channel for a little while, you know that I'm a big fan of this series. I do videos on the novels. I recently, and not too recently, but a while ago I did a video on the Kickstarter rewards because I backed the Invaders of the Rokujouma Kickstarter, got 10 omnibuses. And so I'm a big fan of this series, and I had wanted to do the anime for a while. I just kept putting it off. So these videos are going to be sort of like my Do You Love Your Mom anime videos, where I'm going to be breaking up episodes by the volume, right? So for Do You Love Your Mom, there was 4 episodes to adapt every volume, so every video was 4 episodes long. This show is a bit different, and this video is going to be the odd one out because the first 3 episodes actually adapt volumes 1 and 2. But I'll talk about that a bit later. So, what is Invaders of the Rokujouma? Basically, it is a high school boy just about to start high school named Kotaro. Has decided that he is going to move out on his own after his father gets transferred for his job, and he finds a really cheap apartment for only 5,000 yen a month, and moves in, and not long after he moves in, a bunch of crazy girls show up, right? We get a ghost girl, we get a magical girl, we get an underground person, and we get a alien princess. And they just sort of all show up, and they all want control of this room. And so basically, they come to an agreement that they're going to fight for this room through games. And that's basically the premise of the show. And that's really what happens in these 3 episodes, is mainly about getting points and trying to take over the room. Now, they all have different reasons for wanting the room. Like the ghost Sanae, she wants it because that's where her parents used to live before she died. And she's waiting for them to return. The magical girl, who everyone believes is a cosplayer, Eureka, she wants it because there's some sort of, like, I forget how they describe it, but like an overflow of magic in the room that she believes evil magical girls are coming to get. But everyone thinks that she's just a cosplayer and thinks she just wants to have like a cosplay party in the room, which is funny. I like Eureka a lot in this show. Next we have Kiriha, the underground person. She wants the room to set up a shrine, which would then power weapons for the underground people to take over Earth. And the alien princess just needs the tenants of the room, which in this case would be Kotaro, to basically pledge allegiance to her. So that's that. That's basically the main cast. Like, all these characters are introduced first episode, by the way. Like, this first episode is Kotaro moves in, Sanae the ghost shows up, Eureka the magical girl shows up, Kiriha the mole person shows up, and then Thea the alien princess shows up. And that's the first episode, ending with them sort of fighting, and the manager, another high school girl, Shizuka, basically putting a stop to everything, and she's the one that forces them to then basically solve their problems through games. So that's the first episode. Just all the characters introduced. We also have the side characters. Shizuka, the landlord, which I just mentioned. Kotaro's friend Kenji. And the sewing club president that Kotaro is a member of, Harumi. So in this first episode... Oh, and I forgot the Thea's assistant, Ruth. So we've got, 9 characters introduced in that first episode. And then the second episode is sort of playing games to try and get control of the room, as well as sort of giving a bit more to the characters, I guess. Not too much. Like, we see them interact a bit more because in that first episode it's real quick. Everyone only gets like a few moments. So episode 2 is really about showing the characters a bit more, showing them interact a bit, and sort of setting up how they're going to be fighting for the room, like how they're deciding how games work, what games they play, things like that. And then the second half of episode 2 sets up the big like race that their school has, where each club has 2 people from the club do like an obstacle course almost. Like it's mainly just a race with a few stops here and there that they have to complete the challenge of that area and then move on. And then episode 3 is just the rest of that race and the outcome. So yeah, 2 volumes into 3 episodes. They cram a lot in, but I think they do a pretty good job. Major differences from the novels. The first one being just how, like, the sequence of events for volume 1. In the anime, Kotaro gets the apartment. He he falls at work, hits his head, and sees a mysterious woman. And that's sort of when everything starts taking off. He can now see Sanae the ghost, and then Eureka shows up, and then Kiriha shows up, and then Thea shows up. And this all happens over the course of a day. In the novel, it is paced out, so a new girl shows up every day. So Kotaro first, he can now see Sanae, they fight. Next day, Eureka shows up. The day after that, Kiriha shows up. The day after that, Thea shows up. And then eventually ending the volume with all the other girls transferring into his school, which that happens at like the midpoint of episode 2. So the first half of episode 2 is stuff that happened in between those characters showing up. Like we see a scene of Kiriha making food. In the novel that happened like the next morning, I believe. But it happened like right after she showed up. Whereas all the girls show up and then they start doing the little things in between. Which I think is fine, right? For like the way you pace a show and the way you pace a novel is different. You can spread out like the character introductions like that in a novel because it's 200 pages. For an anime, I think getting all the characters there in the first episode was a good idea and it worked really well. I'm trying to think if there was anything seriously that was changed from the first volume. The only other thing I can think of off the top of my head is we don't see how Kotaro joins the sewing club, or the knitting club, excuse me, which is fine, because the way that that's handled in the novels is just whatever. It's basically every anime does this, and it's annoying. Basically, you got a cute girl out there on the first day when all the new students show up, and she's trying to get people to join her club, because she's the only one there. And a couple dudes are harassing her, saying like, oh, she's really cute, maybe I'll join, blah, blah, blah. And then Kotaro shows up and says, yeah, go away, and then he joins the club. And that's it. And we get an idea of why he wants to join the club in these 2 episodes. I forget where it is exactly. But in the first episode, when he's moving in, we see all his baseball stuff, and it's brought up a couple times that he used to play baseball. And then we see a like half-knit sweater, and when talking to Harumi, he mentions that he wants to finish a sweater. So we know why he joined the knitting society, and that's basically it for differences between Volume 1 and like the first episode and a half here. I don't really remember anything else that really jumps out. Volume 2, again, an episode and a half, but I feel like there was, like, I feel like this was adapted better than Volume 1, right? Like, I can't think of anything significant that was removed or really out of place. The only thing I can really think of is Kotaro tricks Eureka into joining the cosplay club, and that's a little bit different in the novels, but that's the only real change I remember. For the most part, it's just sort of things got abridged, so it's just much shorter, right? You're just cramming it into a shorter amount of time, so you don't give it as much room to breathe. But yeah, I think these first 3 episodes are really fun. I think basically everything that the anime here adapts is where the anime or where the novels were sort of more silly and more fun, and it gets a bit more serious after the anime ends, which is fine. But I think this anime is, like, these first 3 episodes are silly and fun. They do a good job of setting up the characters. We're getting sort of their interactions. We're getting like not only just with the main cast themselves, but also with the side characters. Like we have Eureka, who ends up befriending Harumi in episode 3, I believe. So like slowly we introduce the cast all at once, and we're slowly sort of bringing them together, right? And I think it's done a pretty good job of that. So yeah, these first 3 episodes are fun. I don't really know what else to say other than that. So that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.